A few seconds ago, you were somewhere else. Maybe a city that doesn't exist. Maybe a conversation with someone who isn't in your life anymore. It felt real. It felt detailed. And now, just minutes after waking up, most of it is already gone. You probably think your memory is just bad in the morning. But the real answer is far stranger. Your brain didn't fail to save that dream. It actively chose not to. Every night you spend roughly 2 hours in a stage called REM sleep, the phase where most vivid dreaming happens. During REM, your brain is almost as active as it is when you're awake. Scans show heavy activity in the visual cortex, the emotional centers, the regions that build stories. So if your brain is working that hard, why does the memory vanish so fast? This is where a researcher named J. Allen Hobson comes in. Hobson spent decades studying the neuroscience of dreaming, and one of his core findings was about chemistry, not effort. While you dream, your brain has very low levels of norepinephrine, a chemical your brain relies on heavily to encode new memories while you're awake. Without enough of it, the dream gets generated in vivid detail, but it never gets properly filed away. It's less like forgetting a memory. It's more like the memory was never fully written down in the first place. But that's only half the story, because some dreams do survive, at least for a little while. Robert Stickgold, a sleep researcher at Harvard, has spent years studying what happens in the minutes right after you wake up. His research suggests there's a short window, sometimes just seconds, where a dream is still accessible, sitting in a fragile short-term holding space. If you don't do anything with it, like move, check your phone, start thinking about your day, it gets overwritten almost immediately by new incoming information. Your brain treats it the way a browser treats a tab you never bookmarked. Useful for a moment, then closed. So why would evolution build something this detailed, only to delete it on purpose? A more recent body of work, including studies led by sleep researcher Francesca Ciclari, points to something surprising. Dreaming may not be primarily about storytelling at all. It may be a side effect of your brain testing and rehearsing things, emotional scenarios, problem solving, threat simulation, while the systems responsible for long-term memory storage are deliberately offline. In other words, your brain may be using sleep to process experience, not to record new experience. The dream is the exhaust from that process, not the point of it. Think about what that actually means. Every night, your mind runs an entire simulation engine. It builds worlds, populates them with people, generates conflict, resolves it, sometimes in ways your waking mind would never come up with. And then it deletes nearly all of it, on purpose, because remembering it was never the goal. There's something almost unsettling about that, if you sit with it for a second. You are, in a very real sense, living an entire secondary life every night. A life with its own logic, its own emotional stakes, its own version of you. And by the time you're brushing your teeth, almost none of it remains. This also explains something you've probably noticed without naming it. The dreams you do remember are usually the ones interrupted. An alarm going off mid-scene. A sudden wake-up from something startling. Those dreams get caught mid-process, before the usual deletion finishes, which is why nightmares and dreams right before your alarm tend to stick far more than the slow, uneventful ones you drift out of naturally. So the next time you wake up holding the last fading pieces of somewhere you've never actually been, you'll know what's really happening. Your brain isn't malfunctioning. It built something elaborate on purpose, used it for exactly what it needed, and then closed the tab, the same way it has every night of your life, long before you ever learned to call it forgetting. A few seconds from your next wake-up, you'll be somewhere else again. And once again, your brain will quietly decide that you were never supposed to remember it.